Hello everyone and welcome to the FSL Wild Rift Open 2. My name's Tash Bunny. Alongside me I have Infinity and we are your casters for tonight.
Yeah, hello. I'm actually really excited. It's our first time casting, so it's such a huge honor, and I'm excited to see the teams right now for Wild Rift Open 2.
Right, that's right. So it's gonna be really interesting for today because as we know, this is gonna be some of the best teams here in I would say for the region. And on top of that, these are all female teams for you guys who are at home, which means that this is a separate sort of tournament compared to the Wild Rift or WCS that is happening right now, which gives a brand new platform to the ladies here in the region.
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing a lot of these teams, and one of which is actually a representative of the Philippine region in Southeast Asia Games, which is Grind Sky Ares, which I don't know if we'll see later on because right now they're battling for the semifinal spot. So it's really interesting to see how this would turn out for the whole bracket for all the teams that are a part of this magnificent tournament.
Yep, that's right. But let's have a look at the brackets right now. And right now we can see we're quarterfinals where we have about 8 teams in total. Where we have Grind Sky Aries versus FW Esports. And after that, we're going to see Royal Ladies versus Pizza Team, which I definitely will give them a 10 out of 10 just for their team name. GGTY going to be going against Lorem, Ipsum, and finally Team Yakult versus NSL.
Yeah, we have a lot of food here, right? We have pizza, we have Yakult. So I'm getting a bit more hungry, but I just ate dinner, so probably
Yep.
not that hungry.
Yeah, I mean, I just had dinner, so I'm pretty much good. But it's gonna be really cool. But for you guys who don't know, there are gonna be prize pools here, and of course, we all know that whenever there is a female circuit, think of FSL, and we also know that there's gonna be a prize pool going on here, and it's prize pool is actually pretty interesting. You're gonna have 1,000 Sing dollars on the line here, as alongside 15,000 wild cores. What can you buy with 15,000 wild cores?
Probably like 15, I don't know, 15 many skins. I don't know. I can't do quick maths. Probably a lot.
Yeah, I really think so. But if I could buy any skin I could with those wild cores, I would think Fae Dragon Ash. Very pretty skin. Really like it. Of course, Warden Karma. Karma just came out. Shen as well, by the way. And as far as I know as well, before we go into everything, tonight's game will be playing on patch 3.1b, I believe. And this is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, and there are a lot of changes, right? More notably, how Fiora has been changed, how Darius has been nerfed, right? The attack speed is now decreased by quite a huge margin compared in the past, wherein, the first couple of levels, it's 1.2%, and then when it comes to the max level, it's 27% now from 41%. And Fiora is not really nerfed, is not really buffed either, right? The launch has been decreased when it comes to range for a couple of distance, and then the ultimate, I believe, or the duelist dance, rather, has been buffed. So
Yeah.
it's just a bit of adjustments, and we could see a lot of these things probably could tip the scale of the draft later on.
Yeah, but honestly, there are some changes in the patch which I'm very surprised about, especially from Yumi, because we know from the beginning she was pretty strong, and then she was buffed, and then now she's buffed again. And I'm just curious to know as to why these buffs are happening, because right now, if you look at competitive, especially on WCS, you know that Yumi is one of the most top pick supports right now alongside Lulu.
Yeah. And in WCS Philippines, when Yumi was first released, it was actually one of the top picks in the dual lane. It has been not seen as of often after a couple of matches and weeks, but it has returned for a couple of days. So it's really interesting how that would turn out.
Yep, that's right. But if you look at the first 3 bans for sign of Lorem in sub, I would say that these are very standard bans, especially on WCS MYSG at least, because you know that Shen is a very good flex. You can play him mid, you can play him support, you can play him on the top lane on Baron, but you also have a support Galio as well. You know Galio just got a buff as well in terms of damage. And Lulu, you know what Lulu happens when you give anyone Lulu. Lulu, you pair
Yeah,
her with any ADC, they just go on God roll mode.
absolutely, because it gives you a lot of HP, it gives you a lot more damage, and just the flexibility of Lulu, as you've stated, it can pair up with pretty much every single ADCs. But given this bans, you have Jace open, Set open, these 2 picks are really flexible, considering you have Set being nerfed, not that much, but just the amount of set that it gives, it's just a very good pick. And now the Yumi that you were looking for.
Yeah, those are two really big picks coming from Lorem, because you know that set. Okay, this is very interesting. I don't know if this is done in the Philippines before, but Yumi was actually played over on the Baron lane before. So I'm really interested to see if we're gonna be seeing. Well, obviously not maybe, because she does have a heal here. So obviously she'll be going to the Dragon lane, and set on, I believe, would be on the Dragon lane. So what set gives here is that pick potential, as well as a lot of HP from just take so much damage. And so despite the nerf, he's still very able to do a lot of damage to your team.
Yeah, and not just even damage as well. It's just the engage is such of a huge value when you're considering about the Baron lane, when you're considering about set overall. The face breaker, the showstopper is such a good type of a benefit for your team to be able to impact an overall team fight. And as you stated, yes, Yumi has been seen in the Baron lane before, but it has only been seen once. And when it comes down to it, you're only considering a jungle who's going to carry. But at this point in time, when we're saying Yumi at this point for Lorem Ipsum, considering you have Lucian, it's considering to be in the bot lane as a support for these roles, and we're expected the set to be in the Baron lane instead.
Yep, that's right. But this is also very interesting, because when you think about Garen, Garen is this. I mean, he did get a bit of a. Would you call it a nerf? It's a nerf, wasn't it? So I wouldn't. But despite those nerfs, like something that we saw earlier, he's still very, very actively picked in competitive. Why do you think that's the case?
Yeah, it's just the silence. Because if you get silence, you can't use stasis. If you have a Thresh in your team, you can't do the lantern to go back into safety. Pretty much your silence is literally silence. So you can't do anything. And it's just such of a huge value as well when you're considering the Baron lane. And when it comes to being that frontliner for your team, it gets all the damage. And the Nation Justice, well, just one hit.
Lux. Wait, this Lux is a support. Is she? No. She's definitely going mid.
I feel like it's mid.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to support, because at this point in time, if you're looking at Yumi,
I
mean, it could go mid lane. I mean, no
I've
one's
seen the
stopping
Yumi
you.
Baron, but that's more of like a funnel comp, you know. So
Yeah.
I think she's going mid, but I think what's great about Lux is the. I mean, I've seen her played in comp before, but she's not. She's definitely not one of the highest picks so far, and I'm actually surprised that they actually chose to pick her over Morgana. And Morgana is actually not banned out.
Yeah. Definitely. I think Lux is more of being that long range damage, long range engage type of person that can go for like final spark into a team fight and can support in that further range. And I think just the advantage of Lux is the light binding that can recruit two people and have
Yep.
that extra barrier. But as you stated, I feel like Morgana has just huge value to her kit.
Yeah, her pick is just so good. She enables so much, especially for players like Lucian. You know, like even Set with her Dark Shield. I think what's really good is the fact that she's able to take those picks without being stopped. But what's almost also very interesting as well is this Vi pick. I would say that what they're going for here from the side of Lorem Ipsum is this all-in pick sort of comp,
Yeah.
where you can just pick someone off with either a Set or even Vi, and as long as Lux manages to get the bind, they're basically dead meat.
Definitely. I actually do agree with you, because considering you have Lux mid, Vi jungle, this is not really the most common pick champions, but what they're going for is pick comp. So what they don't want is to go for an all-in 5v5 fight, because you're considering a Karma, Nami in the same lineup
Yeah.
for GGTY. So when it comes to a 5v5 brawl, it's definitely not looking that great when it comes to Lorem Ipsum's draft.
Yep, that's right. But I do gotta say though, Lorem Ipsum. I mean, like all how do I say it? Like all sort of strats or picks, I would say that execution is one of the most important things. And the win condition for Lorem Ipsum, there's a lot. There's so many win conditions. You need Set to be able, or Vi to be able to lock down. You need Lux to be able to land her, her snares. But also, what's also really interesting as well is the fact that all of these win conditions can be enabled, especially because of Yumi's ultimate.
Yeah. That is what they are going to rely when it comes to the team fights, like Yumi's
Yeah.
ultimate and Seth's ultimate. Other than that, you can't really rely on Lux's ultimate to go for
No.
team fights. It's its final spark, no CC. So pretty much it's Yumi and Seth dependent when it comes to that mid game, late game potential. And when it comes to GGTY, it's pretty much an all flexible balanced draft.
Yeah, I would like to say so as well. And on top of that, when you think about Karma, you know that her ultimate here is very, I would say it's not only high damage, but it's also the CC is actually very, very strong as well because it does bring everyone into an area. So you combine that with the Nami ultimate, which is just basically a recipe for disaster, which means that every single idea or the execution idea that comes from the side of Lorem is basically down the drain.
Yeah, and considering you have Nami and Karma in the same draft, this doesn't really shout the most damage in the world. And that is the reason why they brought in the Jace for that extra damage in the jungle role. Considering Yumu's Ghostblade is also, right now, very, very insane. The amount of increased penetration of that specific item has been improved, and I think that changes everything. Considering you have Jace in the draft right now, it's going to hurt so much. So we need to look at Jace, we need to look at Corki later on to be the damage dependent champions for GGTY.
Yep, that's right. I think what's great about Corki definitely is because of the armor shredder, especially against Set, right? But if you look at that over on top lane, Vi already on the aggressive here. But look at that, looks like he may be coming out on top. YF gonna be getting the first blood, and he just spins away to safety. Meanwhile, Rogue coming in from the back as well. Gonna be a double here. Andy tries to make something happen, but Rogue is here. Flashes are out. There comes two for the side of GGTY.
Yeah, it was a great response. Andy was being aggressive and was being greedy on getting that kill. They want to get that trade at the very least to get that security onto John easy. Because if you're going to look at it, if Seth gets an early kill, he will be able to get a lot more items in the early game, get that Black Cleaver early on, and deal damage for his team. But
Yeah.
instead, because of that greediness, he was punished, and now it was a double kill for GGTY, giving also a kill onto Rogue. So more farm, more gold into the jungle role and in the Baron lane, and YF is now in a bit of a danger. Because it's 400 gold gap. And with the changes in the Rift Scuttler, it doesn't really give you more experience. So much more delayed, much more deficit when it comes to this early game for Lorem Ipsum.
Yep, that's right. But let's talk about Vi, that Vi pick. I don't know why, but personally, I'm not a big fan of seeing her in the jungle. I think that she's great at those kind of those pick comps, but I think that she's a little bit too squishy to go into the front line here. But what do you think? What kind of impact can she bring to Lorem? Is something you think?
Yeah, I think what YF is going to be playing on a role here for Lorem Ipsum is really just the engage in the mid game. That is the power of Vi. You have Sis and Desist that can really just lock onto a single champion without cancellation, right? Without deny. So that's really the power of YF. But when it comes to that late game, as you stated, it's not really the strongest.
Yep, that's right. But look at Ayapi coming from the side here, puts in some damage on YF, but Julie Bear gonna be protected by her beautiful support. That's what we like about support life. I will die for you. Literally.
Your guardian angel in game.
Yeah!
I'll heal for you. Look at all the damage.
Yep, that's right. But look at that root here coming out from Ayapi. Wants to make something happen to Lux just now, but couldn't quite kind of nail it. But I think that's the kind of like a downside of seeing a Lux versus Karma mid. Is not really you know, like an advantage matchup or anything. It's more of a skill at this point because their kits are somewhat similar, I have to say.
Yeah, and there's a deficit as well when you're considering Lux in a Karma matchup, because those light bindings is not going to connect as easy because of the speed, the movement speed that Karma provides.
Yeah, I don't think so, but for now, look at the Yumi just making a wave, giving the speed boost to her ADC. Sorry, not to ADC, to YF. But I don't think they're gonna be trying to contest. It's gonna be really, really hard because look at that, everyone is already here, and they pretty much have the whole area on. Crap. For now, you can see that now what's happening. Lux nearly going down. But look at that, what's happening. I think at this point, what do you think happened there?
Well, I think Lorem Ipsum wanted to force that steal. Although I don't think it was the best case scenario. Because
Yeah,
first of
that's
all,
right.
it's the Mountain Drake. And Mountain Drake is not really the best option in the world when it comes to early game, nor even the whole duration of that matchup. And Lorem Ipsum, when you're considering that based on how GGTY was taking that dragon, it was a 5-man roam from them, wherein Andy was split pushing top lane. So they should have just forced the Rift Herald, get the 1-for-1 trade when it comes to objectives, because they already have that first turret blood for
Yeah,
their team.
actually, I agree. Actually, when you think about it, I think that's the thing because the thing they already saw that all 5 members were there. Rotations were very very slow, and I don't know why they tried to force it, and they ended up just going off one by one. They lost one, thankfully, but still.
Yeah, there's a good return though, because Lorem Ipsum got the trade once again in the third in bot lane. So 2 turrets traded for 1 objective for now.
Oh, that would have been
Although
great if Ayapi
GGTY
had that
got
damage.
2 objectives as well.
Yeah, I have to say though, what do you think in terms of rotations between the two teams?
It's interesting. I think what happened there is because Lorem Ipsum actually got the tower first build already on top lane, and then they were looking for bot lane turret. And that forces out YF to go into the bot lane as well to support the dual lane, which is Julie Bear and Hot to push that turret for themselves. But the problem is Rift Herald was available on top lane. So that opens up this objective once again for GGTY to be able to take without contest, because they know the enemy jungler is in the bot lane. So no smite for the enemy team to be able to get that steal potential up against them. So it was an easy take for GGTY at the end of the day. And we're looking at the bigger perspective, wherein the Rift Herald can be spawned in mid lane for GGTY. And yes, even if they lost 2 turrets in the process, they will get that map control because of that mid lane turret.
Yep, that's our YF gonna get caught out here. Lux trying to do something about that. Can't quite do anything. But when you look at that in terms of kills, 4-2-1 right now is the golden number here, but you really gotta give it to them because while Lorem is down on kills, they're a lot more focused in terms of objective base, in terms of getting their farm, and I really gotta give it to them because they still managed to kind of equalize the situation. Only a 1k difference despite the severe difference in terms of kills, but look at that! Look at how much damage is coming in, and Julie Bear gonna be caught out here.
Yeah, and Karma as well to just secure the kill, to just nail the coffin on the ground, on the dirt. And GGTY gets another kill for their team. And as you stated, right, this is a 4-kill lead for GGTY. And despite this huge deficit from Lorem Ipsum, at the very least, they were able to just keep up with that goal disadvantage, only being 2k gold deficit or disadvantage up against GGTY. But topside fight.
Look at that, but we are gonna be taking the damage. Ken gonna be caught out by the Yumi. Yumi trying to run away here. Lux can't do anything about that. But now Yapi and Den gonna have to be running for their lives, but gonna be able to back them out, no problem.
Yeah, and Rift Herald wasn't even spawned in mid lane. I was expecting it to be spawned in mid lane, get that scared turret, but Jace just walked in under the turret, got that turret trade, and then Rift Herald spawned in bot lane. So more on the long run, long term, GGTY got the better end of that trade, even despite that early first 2 turrets for Lorem Ipsum. And the interesting part here is, when we're looking at the items, specifically on the Yumi, he built onto Luden's and Luden's Echo. So more on the damage output more than an enchanting his teammates. Because traditionally you see what Harmonix Echo, you see Ardent, to be the first one.
Really though, but look at that. Second dragon about to be secured here. Nami ult comes out. That a beautiful knock up here. And they are separated right now. Lux flashing for her life, trying to run to her teammates, but gonna be falling down to the Corki. But for now, they'll look at that pickoff coming here from the set. Can't do anything. Tries to sacrifice himself for his teammate, but looks like it's gonna be an ace.
Yeah, and a while ago, we talked about what is the advantage of GGTY's draft. What is the advantage of Garen in this draft? Getting all the damage, getting all the aggro for his team, being that frontliner for GGTY. And then Rogue Ken being the damage dealers, and you have Nami and Karma to be that CC crowd control initiators for GGTY. So when it comes to that 5v5, really, it's Lorem Ipsum who is on a disadvantage. They don't need to force onto these team fights. They don't need to give in onto GGTY. They need to look for pickups instead of go for team fights.
Yeah, that's right. It's just really, really unlucky here because, as I mentioned before, the win conditions for Lorem Ipsum's comp is just so specific and can be stopped at any moment. You saw just now what happened. As soon as the Nami ultimate comes out, as soon as the ultimate from the Karma comes out, that CC is enough to stop whatever it is that they had planned. And for now, look at that. Garen on her own down here. Joanna is running for her life. There's 3 people here, but look at how tanky she is. I don't think he's gonna be able to get it out alive.
Absolutely not. It's illusion that we're talking about, and this is what Lorem Ipsum needs. Pick-offs, 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 rather than 5v5 force-out fights up against GGTY. So good middle ground for Lorem Ipsum for now in this game number 1.
Yeah, I really gotta say though, Lorem Ipsum 13-3 right now. It's just really hard for them to do anything because when you look at that right now, look at the final chapter comes out, gets everyone, but look at that, the ultimate coming from Nami as well. Ken kind of moving away, but look at that, suddenly the tables have turned. Lux not managed to get anyone with the final spot, but Rogue, nearly falls down.
Karma just lost his life. It's already a 2-for-1 trade, and Lorem Ipsum just has to retreat.
Yep, that's right. She is just running for her life, but that's the beauty of having a Yuumi. That speed buff is just so good. But this is one of those rare moments. I have yet to see a team that has lost in WCSMYSG with a Yuumi. But for the first time though, seeing Yuumi not able to do much here is just a little bit heartbreaking here, I have to say, because I think it's more not because of the Yuumi, but rather, as I mentioned before, it's just not working out in terms of team comp. One thing that you really gotta give it to Jones, she does her job well in terms of making sure the team is not able to play together, zoning out that at least that one player that is playing in the back.
Yeah, although a huge caveat and a reason why we don't really see a Yuumi composition to be such of a great comp in the early game is because Yuumi actually doesn't really do that much in the early game. You're like playing 4v5 up against a team composition in the first 5-10 minutes of that matchup, but Yuumi scales more towards that late game. So if ever Lorem Ipsum scales this out a bit further, Yuumi can scale when it comes to his HP regen for his teammates. But the problem is GGTY also scales, so there's really a difficult balance that Lorem Ipsum needs to juggle here for this game number 1. They need to pick off Ken, they need to pick off Rogue, because if they don't, his damage is gonna hurt them and could be punished for this game 1.
Yeah, that's right. But if you look at where Set is though, he's trying to make that that side lane push happen, but it's gonna be really hard because look at how hard they're pushing here on the Dragon Lane. And oh my god, beautiful all coming in from Karma, beautifully pulls them down, and right now, not able to finish anyone else though, but look at that, the tag team coming around, and immediately they get the turret, immediately backs away.
He's split pushing.
Yeah.
Andy is split pushing the top lane. So despite GGTY pushing on the bot lane, getting that inhib turret, Lorem Ipsum, you know what? Get it. We're gonna get a trade. So it's even for both of us. We both have super minions crossing different lanes in this game 1. So despite that, Lorem Ipsum is still on this game. Only 5k gold deficit though, so still not a good option for them when it comes to a 5v5.
Yep, that's right, but look at that, Jones with the speed buff, but red team manages to just keep the dragon in their pocket, but for now they are running for their lives, and I don't think they want to engage this just because they know that they won't have a chance when it comes to team fights. Now coming back to that though, I'm just quite surprised. I don't think there was a hull breaker built by Set.
There is, or I don't know if a while ago there wasn't, probably wasn't.
Yeah, because I was looking at the side push.
Oh,
sorry, not Hullbreaker, Bulwark. Bulwark, that was the one. Was it? I can't remember the name. I think it was Bulwark, yeah. It's great for side pushes, but doesn't really give that extra advantage when it comes to playing together with your other teammates. However though, I really gotta give it to GGTY. Look at them just go for that advantage when it comes to these objectives, and immediately Set gets decimated. It looks like it's gonna be Lux next.
Yeah, and with the Baron Nashor, they're looking for the finish. And it looks like GGTY is looking for game one.
Yep, that's right. I gotta say they played this really clean. This is the second ace they've gotten this in this round alone, and I have to say sometimes it's best to play in a situation where you don't have to put so much win conditions in order to make a play. And I have to say GGTY played this very well.
5v5 composition, go for 5v5 fights, and that will lead you to success. Absolutely amazing game there for GGTY, played for their winning conditions. And as we're seeing right now, the main damage dealers is going to be Rogue, is going to be Ken. And I think the start of the downfall here for Lorem Ipsum for game number one is that early game. You gave gold onto Rogue, you gave gold onto Jones, and on top of that, YF and Andy lost track of a bit more gold in their respective camps, in their respective lanes, that led to a huge deficit in the first 5 minutes of the matchup.
Yep, that's right. That's why I gotta say, when you I really liked what GGTY has done here because they're playing it real smart. They put it in a they put this situation in a way where they can actually play so flexibly. They don't need to rely on this certain play to happen in order for it to be executed. So if say a situation was that, oh, okay, we have to get set in order to pick someone out. We need to have Vi get the ultimate onto someone to pin them down, and then follow up with the final chapter as well as the light binding. You see that there's like three different steps needed just to get something to happen.
Yeah, and really, when it comes to Lorem Ipsum's draft, they have a huge reliance in the early mid-game phase. Because when Lux goes for light binding, you're expected for Vi to go and sis and desist to follow through. As you've stated, DCC chains is going to be such a huge benefit for them. But considering this huge deficit that they've allotted in the early game when it comes to GGTY's dominance, they were just halted of that potential CC chain, potential engage on game number one.
Yeah, that's right. The flexible gameplay is sometimes just better. But for now, we're gonna go on a quick break and let's see what's gonna be happening later in game number 2.
Hello and welcome back everyone to FSL Wild Rift Open 2. And we're back for game number 2 between GGTY and Lorem Ipsum. Once again, for the same casters. I'm Infinity and this is Tash Bunny with me for the series for game 2.
Yep, that's right. We saw how GGTY just dominated round number 1, and we were just talking just now about how everything just fell apart for Lorem Ipsum. So now the question is, can Lorem Ipsum kind of just loosen up a bit and not put too many winning conditions on their lineups or picks? Or are they going to face the same thing again they did last round? Because sometimes there are certain lineups where you think, okay, this is already a draft diff. But what do you think about this time? What do you think Lorem Ipsum could do different?
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. You talked about lineups. That is what I'm looking forward to. Is Lorem Ipsum going to have a different lineup now for game number 2? Are they going more so for a 5v5 team composition wherein they're going in for those team fights? Because what I've seen and what I've observed is they really want to force out fights, and having a team composition would give you that advantage for that 5v5 potential.
Yep, that's right. We were just talking about just now how Lorem Ipsum were just too aggressive. They wanted to force out so many team fights. The idea of getting those picks early did suit them early, especially on the dragon lane side. But after a while, as soon as GGTY started playing as a 5-man team, it was really hard for them to do anything because they knew what each player knew what they had to do. Meanwhile, Lorem Ipsum was in a situation where it was so hard for them to play together because each of their players were getting zoned out by different players as well, especially Jones on Garen. She knows what to do. She knows how to keep the damage dealer at bay. There was just nowhere for anyone to meet together and make that idea of that composition work.
Yeah, although I have to give a commendable play there from Lorem Ipsum in the latter stages of that game number 1, because Andy was split pushing on top
yeah.
lane. They got the inhibitor trade. That was phenomenal from them, but it was just a huge deficit regardless if they got the trade on inhibitor. So I guess right now what they need to focus on is looking at that early game, mid game. What do they need to do? Do they force out fights, or do they stay on safety up until their power spike comes through?
Yep, that's right. And on top of that, despite the disparity in terms of kills, at least for the first part of the game, they still managed to equalize in terms of goals. Now look at that, Lorem Ipsum. Now they immediately took out Karma. They took out Lulu. They didn't want to deal with that Karma just now. Understandable though, because of how much that displacement can do in terms of ruining their comp. And when you look at the side of GGTY, they didn't want to deal with the Jace just now. They were like, okay, their Jace was actually pretty good. I don't think we want to do that again. But is it going to be a Blitzcrank? I know there's an adjustment for Blitzcrank. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I feel like, regardless if Blitzcrank has been buffed nor nerfed, it's just too hard to play with. You're looking at an
Yeah.
early game lead with those CCs, but
Oh,
isn't really
okay.
that strong though.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I was very, very like a newbie when it came to League of Legends PC. I think Blitzcrank was my greatest fear. The sound till now still gives me PTSD sometimes. But nowadays, as you grow older, or as the game grew more mature, you realize that Thresh is actually the biggest threat, not Blitzcrank.
Yeah. It's just Thresh is more flexible. It gives you safety for your team. It gives you slow with your ultimate, and it just gives you a lot more utility rather than Blitzcrank, which is a little bit more selfish because of the overdrive giving you movement speed for yourself.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
just a different thing.
Yeah, that's right. And on top of that, I think the when you look at the picks right now for Rakan, I think Rakan is just one of those supports, just so great at initiating, great at getting in and out. He's a very slippery guy. Think of it as like a support fizz, but with like heals and and knockups. And I think what's really
Yeah.
great as well is Ziggs pick from Lorem. So I think their lineup this time around looks a lot better because when you think about Ziggs, Ziggs is just able to hold on his own, especially if you want to play him on Dragon Lane, if you want to play him on mid. He can clear waves so fast. His satchel gives him so much mobility and can take down turrets really fast as well.
Yeah, and I really, really like this so far because you have Ziggs, you have Rakan now. These are huge team fight potential champions.
Yep.
Like we were talking about like game number one, where's a team fight comp? They're going for pick comp. But now it's looking quite well when it comes to that 5v5, a little bit more flexible because Ziggs right now can go mid, can go bot, and it's really just a powerhouse at the moment for Lorem Ipsum. But they need AD because they're
They
lacking
really do.
AD.
I really want to see what they would pick out for AD. It looked like Julie Bear was hovering on Vayne just now, but I can't be sure. Right now, two supports are actually banned out here from Lorism, and they are both really good. I would say, let's say three supports. These are three S tier and A tier supports. What?
It's all support ban from Lorem Ipsum. Ban away the
Yeah.
Yumi, ban away the Nami, Lulu, Karma, Galio, put it away. We don't want to fight
I
against
mean,
it. And
Thresh is still available, but it looks like Morgana will be picked up. We just talked about what Morgana can
yeah,
give to a team as a support, as a mid laner. She's just so versatile. Actually, when you think about it again, I think that having a Morgana on the team, you put the Black Shield on either Garen or Lee Sin, the playmaking potential is endless.
absolutely. Lee Sin can just penetrate through the back lines and get that kick, the Dragon Rage. And specifically Ziggs, because Ziggs would be that main dependent damage dealer for Lorem Ipsum in the long run, because Kha'Zix would be the ones who's going to get some pickoffs, who's going to get some ganks in the early game. So definitely something that we need to look at is Ziggs, if he's going to play a bit more safe, especially with the Lee Sin in the opposing team.
Oh man, Lorem Ipsum's team is jacked. I love the Sinch pick. WCSMYSG. We saw Sinch more of support, so I have not seen yet competitively a Sinch played on a dragon. I mean on
Mhm.
Baron, but you have seen situations where Sinch can just go proxy if he wants to. He can play if he has a lead. He can play behind enemy turrets and just farm for there, thus making it so easy for the minions just push forward and just take out the turret
Yeah.
early.
Yeah. And you know what, Cash Bunny? You've seen a Singe support, but have you seen a Rakan mid laner?
Oh wait, are you serious? No way! I
I've
can't
seen
believe
Rakan mid
this.
lane. It's WCS Philippines. It's RRQ's playstyle. They play a Rakan mid lane. It's just absolutely nuts.
What? Okay, I'm just learning of this. I thought Malaysia was having like a Yumi top lane and Lulu mid lane. I'm like, okay, cool, funnel comp. Wonderful. I haven't seen this, but Rakan. I like to see this happen. So can you tell me, walk
Yeah.
me through it. What exactly does a Rakan mid bring here?
Well, I don't know if Lorem Ipsum's gonna do Rakan mid lane. Most probably not. But as a Rakan mid lane, because what you want to do is to just funnel onto specific champions. Your hyper carry, may it be a Vayne, for example, if you want to put it out there. Because on a 5v5, on a team fight basis in a professional scene, you don't really want everyone to gain gold, right? So being a Rakan mid lane, you give more of a utility, you become that team player, but you still build AP, so your engage is gonna hurt. So
Yep.
there's just a lot of things to consider as a Rakan mid lane.
Yep, that's right. But when you think about it again, it's hard to say. I really am excited about Akali because Akali's pick potential is really strong. She's able to come in from the flanks from the back and just catch you off guard if you want to. And it's just honestly so surprising as well because you have a pick sort of like a assassin, a sort of champion when you have Akali, but they also are going with the Kazakhs. I would like to think that they are trying to just go for the picks here. I think the two squishies would definitely be the Corki, Morgana, as well as the Lee Sin. Now the idea is this is where it gets complicated. We just talked about win conditions here. If they're able to get that win condition out, great. But if not,
It's not looking that great. Absolutely.
yeah.
I was just waiting. Is there going to be a follow-up?
No.
Probably not. But the other thing that I'm looking at as well for Lorem Ipsum is a while ago we were looking some like team composition right for
Yeah.
them. But right now they produced like a team composition for them for game number 2 here in the quarterfinals up against GGTY. But they're going for 4 AP champions. Well, Rakan is AP champion when you're considering
Yeah.
his skill kit, but there's a lot of AP with only Kha'Zix being the AD. And if Kha'Zix doesn't scale here in the early mid game, it's not looking that great. GGTY can just buy magic resistance
Yeah,
and
that's
deny
right.
all of these AP damage.
Yeah, that's right. And if you think about it, right now, Lee Sin is one of the strongest jungle champions because of how fast he can rotate and move around. Look at that. She's already done with the top side, already moving down to the bottom side. As opposed to Kha'Zix, he's only just moving up to the other side. For now, though, look at that. Julie Bear, I really gotta give it to her, though. She's doing so much damage here, making it really... Well, they are losing in terms of their farm, but look at how much damage she's able to put out. But I really gotta give it to Ken as well because Ken is just able to just really juke and play around that.
Yeah, and just this is the cost that you pay for having a Ziggs versus Corki matchup, because Corki in level 1, level 2, level
Oh.
3 doesn't really have that much range. You need to have that level 5 for that missile barrage to be able to go online. So pretty much Corki's not gonna have the greatest of time here in the early game when it comes to that long range poke up against Julie Bear.
Yep, that's right as well. But Julie Bear, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. I don't think they're able to push up at least to the turret as well. But look at that, because they have that push there on the Dragon Lane side, they can actually have so much potential, or at least hold
Whoa.
onto the
Whoa.
bottom side.
Akali just jumping in with a shuriken flip, but Rogue here jumping through. Sonic Wave will not connect. Will miss that opportunity for that first blood, but Seth
Oh,
flash in. Not gonna connect though, so
that was
Ollie's
very
gonna be safe for
aggressive.
now. No first blood.
Yeah, that was just way too aggressive. And we saw this happening just now as well, right? But look at that, YF. Maybe coming up top here. Nothing quite happening just yet, but that's the beauty of having a Garrett. He's just so tanky. He just spins away.
Yeah, the protection of the mash is gonna protect you till the end.
Yeah, spinning at my haters. That's what he does when a
Yeah.
gank happens.
So yeah, definitely something that Lorem Ipsum would probably not opt to consistently is to gank top lane, because Garen is just too tanky. So more or less look at mid lane, look at bot lane as a contest, as a point of contest for Lorem Ipsum.
Yeah, that's right. But for now, how the turntables here, because the push will be happening from Julie Bear, but Julie Bear is gonna have to go back. She's a bit low on mana. If they want to go aggressive, they can, though. Looks like they're not gonna stay. But this is one of like the slower paced games compared to earlier, where we saw early ganks
Yeah.
happening up there on top. But you know, I don't blame them though, because of the situation that's going on, at least on top lane. It becomes like a farm city because Garen can only do Garen things and just farm around there. You can't actually push to a Singe, can you?
Yeah, I don't think so. Because that fling is also going to be a huge value for Lorem Ipsum. If ever Garen forces out the push, if ever he overextends, Cinch can just fling him onto the air, go under the turret, and deal so much damage onto him. So not going to be the best ideal situation for uh, GGTY to force things up there. But right now, this is the exact thing that Lorem Ipsum should have done. Trade objectives, go for the one-for-one trade. And I think GGTY is also doing a great thing because considering that this is only a mountain dragon, Rift Herald would be that option for them.
Yep, that's right. And immediately they're just gonna go straight up to Baron lane, top lane, just take that down if they want to. Look at it, there is gonna be a response here coming through. There are 3 coming up on the top side here. Rogue eating so much damage at this flash out of there. Barely makes it out alive.
Quickness is here already, but the root will disable this potential engage coming in from Rakan. Ultimate from Morgana will not be able to connect. That Rift Herald will die. No tower for his blood, so pretty safe for Lorem Ipsum. They're not forcing out fights.
Yeah, I think they knew that they were behind. That's why they didn't force it. They're like, okay, we're a little bit behind here, but it's okay. We miss out on the dragon. We just take that. We'll put as much damage as we can onto the turret. And I think that's a good thing because, you know, as I said before, pushing towards a Singe is hard. So any damage or any situation where you can actually bring down the turret just a little bit for that side is pretty much already a big advantage or at least a huge win for them.
Yeah, definitely. Although, something that I like to see. Lee Sin picking up the Yumu's Ghostblade. And we talked about a while ago how Ghostblade has been buffed.
Yeah.
And we're expecting a lot of damage coming in from Rogue.
Yeah, I really like to see that as well, and that I think that gives so much advantage as well to Lee Sin because he's able to move so far so fast. But for now, as I mentioned before, this is just one of those games that's just very, very slow. There's only like what 400 gold difference, and I don't think that even matters at this point. But I really gotta give it to Lorem Ipsum because this time it looks like they're a lot more proactive in rotating, a lot more proactive in getting those how do I say this? Those objectives as opposed to before, which they were put in a situation because they were so behind when it comes to getting those going to these objectives, they weren't able to contest it.
Yeah, game 1 was a warm-up game. Voila. This is the true Lorem Ipsum.
I think that's usually the case for a lot of games where you kind of have like that introduction situation where you kind of have to figure out what's going on. But Rogue coming from back here.
Great Dragon's Rage to mention just this. Will not secure the kill. Ignite will burn him down, but not going to be enough to secure the kill. So then, going for the flank. Harper's Blood ready for GGTY, but Lorem Ipsum gets a trade back 1-for-1.
That's a good trade. They saw that everyone was up top taking the turret. They're like, okay, we should have done this earlier. Let's go take bottom side instead. But it looks like the pushers aren't going to stop at all from top side here. I think they want to force out as much as they can, but meanwhile over on Dragon side, our bottom lane, you're not seeing that force there from GGTY this time.
Yeah, and it's just that Den is there to protect that tier 2 turret as well, and it's Lorem Ipsum, as we said it a while ago, who has the deficit, who has its disadvantage. So not forcing out fights is something that they need to do. Right now, freaking flip though. Akali jumping in. Den is half HP. Akali as well, so they don't want to go for an all-in here. The 7 minutes of this matchup. Still 2 kills for 7 minutes into the game. A new thing for the series.
Yeah, that's right. And I really gotta give it to her as well because Akali is just so aggressive. She knows her limits. Look at that. She's not scared to bring it in. She knows that she can go as aggressive as she wants to, but she's not overextending because she knows that if she gets into Ayapi's snare, that's gonna be a problem because she won't be able to move till tomorrow. There's actually a meme, at least from WCS MYSG, where it's like you get snared by Morgana's binding. You get up, you go get a drink, and maybe when you come back, you probably still won't be out of the binding yet.
Absolutely. And I remember this one time, like when Leona was released, like the text for the Zenith Blade was like 50-second stun or something. It was insane. But that was only a text bug. Right now, GGTY looking for that Infernal Drake. Lorem Ipsum is just around the corner, is on the horizon, but not gonna go for a forced fight here. GGTY has huge respect of the Lorem Ipsum because there's not really much difference when it comes to gold.
Yeah, that's right. But look at that. They're like, okay, fine, we can't have dragon. We'll just decimate your turret. And that's the beauty of having a Ziggs on your team. The damage and the satchel does so much damage to the turret. But look at that right now. They know that Akali will be taking care of the backside. They already are pretty much ready.
Really great macro play there from Lorem Ipsum, but down GGTY looking for that fight. Akali going for the back lines with a shuriken flip. Den is really low. Stasis enchant for Yapi. Followed up the flash. Force him back to safety, but Akali is already down. Rakan is down as well. As GGTY has the numbers advantage, but Kha'Zix and Ziggs still there. Ziggs gets the kill onto Morgana. They're looking for this fight. They're forcing it out, but Kha'Zix falls out for a trade onto the Morgana kill, and GGTY secures the Infernal Drake.
Oh man, they were hungry for the Infernal, but you just gotta say that was so beautifully played. They played the game of tag team here. One person moves up, takes the damage, moves away, and the other one just follows up after. And that is the most definition of teamwork and team play. We were just talking about macro play from the team, and it's just so good seeing them do that.
Absolutely, it was flawless coming in from GGTY, how they played it out. But remember, Lorem Ipsum got that tier 1 turret in mid lane, which was a trade and objective. But right now, Lorem Ipsum looking for the Rift Herald. GGTY is there as well. As Yapi gets the steal onto the Rift Herald. How can you do this?
Oh, just Morgana things! I can't believe this! Ayapi! I don't think they were expecting to be outsmited like that, because they didn't realize that, they didn't think that, they didn't see Rogue there, I suppose. But the thing is, Ayapi gonna be the trump card rather. Just saying, just because my jungler isn't here doesn't mean I can't steal it from you.
Yeah, get Dark Binding. Don't just get a drink, get food. GGTY doing absolutely miracle things here for game number 2, and right now with that Rift Herald steal, they're now looking at a very good state in 10 minutes into this matchup.
I'm still in shock at that steal. That was just so good. But look at that, now that they have the mid lane advantage, I just really want to talk about the jungle control they have. Look at how many red wards there are in the jungle. That is why Rogue is able to just move around the jungle as she pleases, because she knows who is in the jungle, where they're gonna be, as opposed to the amount of blue wards. I really gotta say though, it's not because they're because Lorem Ipsum isn't warding. It's because the amount of, they have 2 people actually clearing out the wards from the side of GGTY, which is actually the set as well as Den and Rogue.
Yeah, it's just crazy, right? The vision will give you that knowledge on where the jungler is. Something similar to now, where the Kha'Zix would be. Now, it's then Akali 1v1. Akali with the shuriken flip, but just that GGTY still going to be safe with that fast response from his teammates. Akali has to retreat.
Yeah, that's right, but there is gonna be a response for that. Look at Jones getting chunked up here top. I don't know what I'm gonna say though. Jones isn't scared. Look at that. She goes front, puts in damage, is like, okay, I'm done. I'm gonna walk away now.
Yeah, he has Black Cleaver. He has a lot of this HP as well as the build path to Force of Nature, so he's going to be really, really safe. And this is the thing that we were talking about a while ago, but before then, Dragon's Raid is going to be flawless. Exhaust to follow up, as that will be the secured kill onto Akali. GGTY. Great gank, but the trade cost of Garen on top lane.
Yep, that's right. I think that's a trade that they want to do, because this is really, really hard pushes when you think about it. Now what's only left is just the inhibitor turret for Dragon Lane side. Meanwhile, they're just, this is what I like about them. The discipline that's coming in from GGTY is something that you really, really gotta commend. When they don't have enough HP, they said, it's okay, we don't have to force this fight, we don't have to get too greedy, just let them get away with it. Oh, we can't actually contest this dragon, that's fine, we'll go get another objective, whether it be a turret, whether it be trading a kill, whether it be getting the herald. And that's what I really like seeing from GGTY. We talked about macro play as well. They're just really, really good. Look at the rotations that come in as well from them. It's just so clean.
Yeah, it definitely is giving them a lot of these advantage. And a while ago in the draft, we were talking about the monotonic damage category of Lorem Ipsum, and that would be the answer of GGTY to be Hex Drinker, Mothma Mortis, Spirit Visage for Garen at this point in time, giving you a lot of this magic resistance. So a lot of damage negated by GGTY from that point.
Yeah, YF actually was a little bit too late in the jump in as well when you think about it. Had to flash out as well. There are a lot of situations where I saw that Lorem Ipsum, they would just burn their flashes, I wouldn't say unnecessarily. I would say it was that they put themselves in this situation where those flashes they didn't have to be used in the first place. And then suddenly where it comes to those very, very scary situations where they actually need that flash, when they need to go get a pick, when they need to get out from a gank, they don't have it anymore.
Yeah. But look at the Yappy. She doesn't know there are 3 people looking to kill him. Now Grand Entrance will be there, but Black Shield negates it.
Oh,
the flash is
wow.
already burned. Kha'Zix comes through. Then the isolation damage, just too much. And now Ayapi is walking through death as Flame will be there, and Morgana will be dead. And now GGTY though, go for the response. Lee Sin is here. Dragon Rage is there and ready. Will get the kill with Rogue going for the Sonic Wave, followed up by another. That will be the 2-for-1 trade from GGTY.
That was worth it. Ayapi knew how to play for time. All she did was just pull around, ring around the Rosie, waste some time as her teammates immediately collapse. And I think that's the situation what they really, really want. And on top of that, I just really gotta say though, when it comes to the Rakan from the side of Lorem Ipsum, she didn't use her quickness too early, didn't use Grand Entrance too early as well, which gave her so much potential as well when it came to running away. I think she already had a sneaking suspicion that whenever you see one person playing around alone, there is eventually going to be a cavalry coming around. But it was a little bit too late after all. They got themselves a little bit too low on HP regardless. But Ayapi, she knew how to play for herself, and I think that's one of the perks of playing a Morgana.
Yeah, you have the Black Shield to negate some CCs, you have Dark Binding to root enemy front line, so definitely something that Ayapi has utilized and even used to Stasis Enchant, right?
Yeah, that's right.
To just buy some time.
Yeah, buy some time. They can even move after that, and after not just buying some time, they rooted them, and then by the time Ken and Rogue came, they had no HP, so Morgana versus the world just now. Ah, so well played. I wish I could play as good as her, but I can't. So that's why we're here casting and not playing.
Absolutely. It's just too difficult, right? Playing in a professional scene, it's just a lot to take in. Like, you have to think about the draft, you have to think about who are you fighting against, what bans are we going to do. So definitely something that GGTY and Lorem Ipsum has been doing. But right now, GGTY going for the Baron Nashor, but then and Johns is zoning away the enemy team. Might just be a double bluff here from GGTY. Not really going for an all-in onto the Baron Nashor. Dark Binding hit onto Rakan, but so far, no one's going for an all-in engage. Having huge respects onto each other on these teams, because one objective can go and result into a game over for any of these teams.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you think about it as well. I mean, yes, there is a goal disparity, GGTY in the lead, but if you look at it again, like how it's going on here, we're already in 17 minutes, we're already in the late game. At this point though, anything can happen. You get a Baron and suddenly just run it down mid, run it down at least a bottom side at least, because they only have one turret left. Which is why I'm quite surprised, because GGTY, I believe that if they wanted to play aggressive, they could. They have I feel like in terms of comp, they have the better comp here when it comes to a team fight, as opposed to what Lorem Ipsum has, which is more of like a pick comp as well. But look at the Dragon Rage!
The jump over the wall from Rogue! Gets the kill onto Julie Bear now with one member down for Lorem Ipsum. An Elder Dragon is available for GGTY.
Oh, that was so well done as well. This is a great pick, because that's their main damage dealer. Without Julie Bear, it's hard for them to do anything. Akali can only play close range.
And right now, Lorem Ipsum has to contest this. YF has the flash available, so he can go over the wall. It's now 1.5 to HP remaining, but GGTY secures the Elder Drake. And now GGTY is locking down onto the members of Lorem Ipsum as they shut them down. 4 kills for GGTY with the Elder Drake. Baron Nashor is alive for them to take.
Yeah, that's right. Rogue, I really gotta say, Rogue Smite, don't miss. I have not seen a situation where the Smite misses at all. And then just buying time here at mid, he's just like, she's like, I'm gonna push. I want to push as much as I can here. Just buy some time. And the thing is, they don't even know that they took Baron until now.
Absolutely phenomenal play there from GGTY. Two of the most important objectives in the late game. Baron Nashor and the Elder
took
Drake.
everything!
And considering they have two dragons as well for GGTY, the true damage will stack in their favor. So huge benefit for GGTY at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. They can pretty much just run it down mid and run it down Dragon Lane if they wanted to. I don't think it's gonna be a problem at all when it came to that, but it looks like mid will be the area they want to go for. They've already pushed out the waves coming in from bot side, and now all they gotta do is just sneeze a little bit. 664 HP left on that turret, and I don't think it's gonna be a problem at all. Look at that.
Yeah, it's just a breeze at the moment for GGTY at this point. You have the Baron Nashor. Baron buffed minions is pushing through, and Lorem Ipsum has to just stay safe under their inhibitors, defending from the distance. Because if they force out fights, Garen can just silence and will definitely be a kill for GGTY. As right now, Rogue
aggressive.
jumping right back in. Boots him down to the ground. So GGTY has to retreat for a bit, but still pushing through inhibitor.
Yeah, look at that. Aggressive. Both turrets gonna go down at the same time here. I think this is gonna be the final fight.
The last chance for a defense here for Lorem Ipsum is now GGTY is looking for the finish as they take 3 kills in a sudden ultimate from Den. A showstopper with a 1-4-3. And at the end of the day, it's GGTY getting the ace, followed up by the win on this series 2-0.
Oh my god, Den really knew how to make a showstopper sound like a showstopper. That was so beautifully played, and we talked about this before in terms of microplay, in terms of macro play. GGTY just a lot better, and you look at that in terms of score. While it looked very clean, or at least very strong here for the side of Lorem Ipsum, the one thing that is just really hard for them is because GGTY is just too good. They knew how to reevaluate the situation. They know how to play it patient. They know how to punish mistakes as well. While the comp, as we talked about just now from Lorem Ipsum, looked like they wanted to make it as fast as they can and end it as much as possible. But the thing is, look at the damage coming in from the side of Akali as well as Kha'Zix. And look at how much damage Ayapi as well as Ken and even Rogue is doing.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of negations that GGTY has done. I don't know if we could see the items once again for just a quick recap coming in from GGTY, but they build like Hex Drinker from the first couple of minutes, right? Rogue, second item, Hex Drinker. For then, Mothmaw Mortius, second item, and then to the Force Nature. So there's a lot of these negations for magic resistance that when it comes to Lorem Ipsum's draft is 4 AP champions dependent.
Yeah, and
So not really shouting damage.
yeah. I mean, you did mention that as well. Like the only AD damage was coming in from YF, and we also talked about the win condition again. And honestly, I think this is something that Lorem Ipsum should really kind of like think about, like putting so much, win conditions onto their team. We talked about what if the Kha'Zix isn't able to get the picks, and this is exactly what's going on. Kha'Zix only has 1 kill in total, was rendered pretty much useless throughout the entire match, wasn't able to farm, wasn't able to get picks. How was he supposed to scale?
I don't know. I can't answer that. How should
I mean, you saw the answer.
Hypothetically,
You can't
right?
do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's difficult.
it is really difficult, and I think in a comp like that, I think they need to find different ways of playing it. I really gotta give it to GGTY. They said it's okay if we don't play too meta. It's okay if we don't have a specific comp to work with, so long as we know ourselves how to play the game and how to respond to certain rotations, certain pushes, certain attacks. I think we're gonna be good, and that's why exactly they want to play. They just played it real. I think they just played it the way as any other game would be. Didn't have to think about it too much. It is not a situation where they kind of have to do, okay, we want to put this specific instance for us to win.
Yeah, definitely. Just a massive win coming from GGTY, winning that series 2-0. However, still commendable plays coming from Lorem Ipsum. Played really well from that game number 2. playing it very safe in the first couple of minutes in that game. But that's a series for now. It's a quarterfinals from Wild Rift Open 2 from FSL. I'm Infinity in this, Tash Bunny, your casters for Series 1. We will still have more for later on, so don't go away.